We are on the afternoon break on the second day of questioning of the undercover police officer Jim Boyling, who used the cover name Jim Sutton to infiltrate animal rights groups, environmental groups, particularly Reclaim the Streets. He deceived 3 women into sexual relationships, having 2 children with one of them. This afternoon session of the undercover police inquiry is covered by a restriction order. I am not allowed to report on anything I've heard over the last hour and a half. The reason given for that is that a large section of the questioning, or a certain section of the questioning, related to things of a private, personal nature about a non-state co-participant, a civilian. I can't even let on which that is about, but I would say this. A significant amount of the information that was covered in this afternoon session did not relate to that. As far as I'm aware, there would be no restriction order on any of the materials that were covered in that time period, yet I am still unable to report on any of it. I will not be breaking that restriction order in any sense because I am on my final warning for that sort of behaviour. I do think that the procedural approach of the inquiry in this matter is very problematic. Rather than holding a private session for some part of the evidence, they have chosen to blanket out the entire afternoon. It means it is incredibly difficult for me to report on anything. In fact, it is impossible for me to report on anything that was said this afternoon. I won't be even attempting to do so, not even through a cryptic means, as people have asked me to do. I'm not inviting anybody else on this broadcast because in previous times I have done so when there is a restriction order and things have been broken, and I don't think it's worth the risk. What we've heard this afternoon in terms of the private personal stuff is incredibly sickening. It is disgusting. He is appalling. It is utterly, utterly appalling. I do not think we need to know the details. I think you can take it from me. It's really bad. And I think if you've been following other things that he has been questioned about, you can understand what that might be. A lot of the other things really should not be subject to a restriction order. They relate to procedural stuff, aspects of his infiltration which are part of a public record, things that we've already heard about through civilian witnesses being questioned. In many cases, Jim Boyling has very little to add to what we've already heard, so there wouldn't be anything new information particularly being added on. Yet the inquiry has taken this approach. It is very problematic. It is difficult to understand why they have chosen to do that. It can only be because they feel that they do not have enough control over the process. Certainly, there was some. I was told to delete something that I tweeted earlier in the day during one of the short closed sessions. I don't know if that's the problem. Hopefully, we are attempting to try and get the inquiry to lift the restriction order for the remainder of the afternoon. It may be that I'm able to report on the rest of the afternoon's evidence. I somewhat doubt it, to be perfectly honest. I'm doing this video more as a courtesy to explain to people who've been following them why there's not a proper substantive update. Apologies for that. If we are able to report on things, I will report on as much as I possibly can. Otherwise, it may be the case that I'm unable to do any more of these videos until tomorrow. If so, I'll see you tomorrow. Possibly, I'll see you later on. Thanks for joining us. See you all again soon. Bye for now.